Hiya, welcome back to In the Kitchen with Tabby. So we woke up to a cold, snowy morning here in southern Indiana, and I have never been happier to have a crock pot full of chicken chili so that we have something to munch on today over this weekend on this cold, cold weekend. Guys, you're gonna love this recipe. It is spicy, but not too spicy. It's got a little kick to it because of that RedHot Frank's hot sauce. I put a little bit of that in my chicken stock. I'll tell you about that in a second. But yeah, I think you guys are gonna really like it. There's also a little bit of a special ingredient. Normally when I make my chicken chili, I just don't even have a recipe. I kind of throw stuff together. But I pulled up a recipe that I thought was pretty close to mine, except that it had one ingredient in it that I had never used, Salsa Verde. And so I'm so glad I did. You guys are gonna love this chili. Let's get cooking. All right guys, so here's everything you're gonna need. So we are going to use 1 can of Bush's Great Northern beans, 1 can of Bush's Pinto beans, it's a 10-ounce can of Rotel, which is the diced tomatoes and green chilies, 1 pint-sized jar of homegrown canned corn, but you can use shoe peg corn or whatever canned corn you would like. And then this is something I've never put in my white chicken chili before, so this is gonna be something new for us, but it's Salsa Verde mild. It called for a 16-ounce jar. This is a 12-ounce. I figured that was probably close enough. So, so a 12-ounce jar of the Salsa Verde, a medium onion, and we're gonna dice that up pretty small. It calls for 2 tablespoons of taco seasoning. That little Old El Paso packet was just under 3 tablespoons, so I just went ahead and put it all in there. And if I'm being completely honest with you, before we started filming, I had a little faux pas accident where my Rotel fell on my cup, and I probably lost about a half a tablespoon, so we probably are more about 2 tablespoons there. And then it called for 1.5 to 2 pounds of chicken breast, boneless, or chicken thighs. This is just over a 2-pound package, but I am going to open that up and trim all the fat off of it, so that'll probably take it right down to 2 pounds. Now the hot sauce, I told you I was a convert. So today I made my chicken broth with my rotisserie bones, and so what I did was I threw a little bit of this hot sauce in there just to kick it up a notch. So I'm not adding any more of this, and I probably only put about a tablespoon in that whole bowl there. The recipe calls for 2 cups of broth. This is right at 7 cups, so we're probably not going to use all of it, but we like our chili pretty saucy, like brothy, so I'm probably going to use a little more than 2 cups, but I'll let you know when we get to that point how much we actually use. So those are all of the ingredients, and I am going to go ahead and chop up the onion and get my chicken all taken care of, get the fat trimmed off of it, and then when we get that ready and we're ready to go into the crock pot, we will come back and I'll show you how it goes. All right guys, let's get this chicken chili put together. It's gonna go super fast. So in the crock pot here, I went ahead and trimmed all of the fat off of my thighs, and I did go ahead and just chop it up. You can let it cook whole and then chop it up or shred it up after the chili is done, but I just kind of like to do it while it's already, you know, my hands are messy. I figured I might as well. That little bit of fat that I trimmed off, you can see there's not much. It was not much at all, but I am gonna boil that, and then that's gonna be a sweet little treat for our pups. So I'm gonna give that to them. Also, another reason I just wanted to say, especially when you're using the thighs, the boneless, skinless thighs, you always wanna make sure that you pull those apart and kind of just take the fat off and check, because for example today, and it happens occasionally, one of those pieces had a little bone in it, had a little piece of bone. So even though it says boneless and skinless, you might just want to double check and make sure that it does not have any bone pieces in there. Okay, so chicken's in there. Here's my Great Northern beans, my pinto beans, and my corn. I did not rinse them, we're just draining them, so you don't have to rinse them. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is put my taco seasoning in here, and I'm gonna give that just a little stir to kind of coat that chicken with the taco seasoning. And if you look, I mean, you can probably see some little bits of white in there. I did not trim off every single piece of fat. I kind of like to leave a little bit on there because that does add some extra flavor to the chili. All right, so we got that all mixed up there. Looks good. So now we're gonna put our onion. I didn't dice it up too fine. Those are some small pieces, but not ridiculously small. I still want to be able to know that there's onion in there, so I don't want to dice it up too small and have them cook so much that they disintegrate. I want to be able to know that there are onions in there. The Rotel is going next. That is not drained. You want to keep the liquid in there. So just dump that Rotel right in there on top. and then we're gonna do the salsa verde. Okay, I'm gonna give that another stir, just to kind of combine all those sweet ingredients, let them all get very well acquainted and get to know each other. Okay, now we're gonna do our corn and our beans. This is gonna make a nice pot of chili if you're having company, but I'll tell you, it also freezes really well. So if you don't eat it all, or you know, for just 2 people, if you get tired of eating on it after a couple of days, it does freeze really well. You can put it in a airtight container and stick it in your freezer. Just make sure you label it with the date and with what it is so you don't forget, like me. Ask me how I know. But yeah, so then you can put it in your freezer and it'll stay good in there for, I mean, I would think probably at least a few months, you know, it'd be fine. So we're gonna go ahead and stir these beans in. Let them get to know the onion and the salsa verde and the chicken. Alright, gosh, that's looking really good already. Look at all that color in there. You can see the corn and the beans, those Rotel tomatoes, little bits of green in there. So that looks great. Alright, now my broth. So this ladle is an 8-ounce ladle, which 8 ounces is 1 cup. So, and it called for 2 cups. So we're gonna go ahead and measure it. Like I said, I've never measured my broth before. I usually always just put it in until I think it looks good, but I wanna make sure you guys kind of know. So there's 1, there's 2, so that's 2 cups. See, I think, give that a little stir. I think it needs just a little bit more broth in there. So we're gonna, I think I'm gonna go 2 more ladles. So there's another one. So that would be 4 ladles in total. And what I'm probably gonna do is reserve this juice, the rest of this broth. And that way, as this cooks and it kind of cooks down a little bit, if I think it needs a little bit more, then I can always add a little bit more broth to it. And that is all there is to it, guys. Everything is in. So what we're gonna do now is just put the lid on it, and this is gonna cook on high for 4 to 5 hours or on low for 6 to 8. So I'm probably gonna go the low route. I don't need it fast. I would rather it cook pretty slow, and then I'll probably just leave it on warm overnight, and it'll just stay nice and hot here in the crock pot, and we'll have it for this weekend. So let's get my lid on here. I'm gonna turn it on, and we're gonna go on low for 8 hours. And when that's all done, we will come back and I will show you how it turned out. We'll see you in a little bit. All right, so one of the last things I'm gonna do, I'm gonna show you, I just took the lid off. It's the next morning. You can see how soupy that is. You know, chili is not supposed to be that soupy. So what we're gonna do is, I took 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, and then I just added some water, maybe a tablespoon or so of water to that. So it looks like milk, but it's not. It's just a cornstarch and water slurry. And I'm just gonna pour that in. Gave it a good mix. You wanna make sure that cornstarch is nice and dissolved. So give it a good mix, pour that in there, and that's gonna be the last thing I do to it. I'll let that sit, and that's gonna help to thicken that up. So we'll be back in just a bit when it's ready to try. All right, guys, the chili is ready. So you saw in the little clip before that I added that little bit of a slurry of cornstarch and water. So I just want to show you real quick before I serve it up. Look how nice that thickened up. That is just some really nice. Now, like I said, we like our chili kind of saucy. So if you don't want quite as much liquid in it, just leave a little of the broth out. I did not add any extra broth to this other than the 4 cups that we put in yesterday. So I'm just going to give this a little stir, and then I'm going to get it in my bowl, and we're going to give it a try. And like I said, my chicken chili, I don't normally put the salsa verde in there, so this is a new ingredient today. So we're going to see how it goes. Now, the real fun with this are the toppings. I like to put different toppings on the chili. So what I have here, and of course, get creative, you can do whatever you want, but I've got some hint of lime chips, some sharp cheddar cheese and some sour cream. So I'm gonna go with a little sour cream, just a little dollop there in the middle. I'm gonna put a little bit of cheddar cheese on top. And then I like to take these little hint of lime chips. You could just eat them on the side if you wanted, but I like to kind of break them up a little bit on top. That's just how I like it. You do you. So whatever you want to put on there, you can. But let's give this a try. So it's been on warm all night, cooked on low for 8 hours, on warm overnight. I'm gonna stir that sour cream in there a little bit. Let's give it a try. There's a nice chunk of chicken, some chip. Okay, this one is a slap the counter or smack your mama, whichever one. Guys, Salsa Verde, it's the way to go. Definitely. I don't know that I would know that it was Salsa Verde in there, but that definitely adds a little flavor that I've never had in my white chicken chili before. So that is really, really good. So yeah, I hope you guys give that a try. Thanks for coming into my kitchen with Tabby today and for welcoming me into your home. I appreciate it so much. I love being with you guys. I love doing this. If you are enjoying my videos and the things that I'm posting on my page, my tips and tricks, if you're enjoying that, then I'm just gonna say, like a good pat of butter, spread it around. I want other people to be encouraged to get in their kitchen and to get cooking and just have some fun, make some memories. You know, a good friend of mine the other day said, she was just encouraging me on my journey here. And she said, you know, men go to the mountains or to the woods to get close to God. But for women, for most women, the simple moments, the ones that are the most important to us, happen in the kitchen. And I can tell you, when she said that to me, I immediately thought, you know, around our kitchen table about the time that our son, when he turned 9, it was his birthday, and he came into the kitchen and sat down at the kitchen table and said, Dad, I'm the big niner today. That was in the kitchen. It was at that same kitchen table that we signed the paperwork for him to join the National Guard before he was 18. It was that same table that he and his brother sat underneath with some of their friends and signed the bottom of the table. And that same table sits in the kitchen now in my oldest son's home. So there are still memories being made around that table. And so I just encourage you to get in the kitchen, have fun, make some memories, and just remember too that Bella wants me to hold her. Just remember too that Christ is the unseen guest at every dinner table, and he is the silent listener at every conversation. So just make sure that you're loving on people, lifting each other up, and just spreading joy and being a light. And I appreciate you guys. If you're watching this on Facebook, like I said, make sure you like and comment and spread it around. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you click the subscribe button, and then make sure you give it a thumbs up, and make sure you click that notification bell so you never miss a video. I appreciate you guys. Have a blessed day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Is it on video?
It is.
I'm just gonna stop asking because I know you're